Hello, I'm Walter Jacobson. Lack of long-range planning has placed the city of Sylacauga in a very precarious position. This has created some serious deficiencies in the city's infrastructure that will be difficult to overcome. This will require a leader with strong organizational skills. Vote Walter Jacobson and you will get a mayor who has a proven record of planning and organizational development. The best predictor of future behavior is looking at past performances. My record over the past 4 years is unequaled by any of the other candidates. Vote Walter Jacobson on August 28th. Hi, I'm Walter Jacobson, and I'm joined today by my wife, Debbie Jacobson. I'm a candidate for mayor of Sylacauga, and I would like to spend the next few minutes talking to you about some of the issues that I feel are facing us as a city. As I go around this city on the campaign, I talk to people, to find out, what's really the issues with them, and what's bothering them, and what they would like to see. And one of the things that's a bit troubling for me is in the weeks since the beginning of the campaign, I've been amazed at the number of people I come across that feel like they don't have a voice in the city and what happens. And a couple of the things that I hear most often, and this is troubling for me, is you have to be a member of some elite group in order to get something done, or it all depends on who you know. But to me, that's unacceptable, because this is your city, you're a taxpayer here, and you have every right to be afforded every opportunity that anybody else, regardless of what your financial standing is or what your social standing is. You have a right to be able to be involved in the processes of this city. And one of the commitments that I make is that I will invite everybody to the table. We'll make sure that we have a good representation of the city's population, and that we'll have input, and people's opinions will be valued, and they will understand that.
That's right.
That they are, because that's just who I am, and of course nobody knows that better than you.
That's right.
But I just, like yesterday, I had a gentleman come up to me, and we began a conversation, and one of the things that he encouraged me to do was to make a concerted effort to get the welcome back in the city. That he felt like, from years past, that it was a very friendly, a very outgoing community, and for some reason we've kind of moved away from that, or we've lost that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we spend a lot of time talking about the physical appearance of the city, which is extremely important as we go out trying to attract people to come to, whether they're coming here to live or if we're looking for new industry or business. But equally important is that friendliness, going out and engaging people, making sure that they know they're welcome.
That's right.
And one of the things that I'm planning to do is, we will work with other organizations, and when we have a new family comes into the area, there will be the old welcome wagon type thing. And because, as I've moved around the country, that's always been one of the things that's so impressive to me. And it was also a great opportunity for the merchants in that area to present themselves to me as a newcomer. So, that's something, and I know you worked, years ago with the Chamber of Commerce down in Mobile.
That was one of the things we did.
And exactly, and it was a huge success there.
It was. It gave you a taste of what was out there and your new place to live.
Right. And
Things for your family to do.
And that's the kind of things that, are just simple things, and those are things that don't cost anything.
No.
That's a frame of mind. That's an attitude of a city.
Right.
Is how we embrace our people. I hear so many comments as I go around about the influence Mr. Joe Duck had on people that were coming to the city, and he certainly had that for me.
Me too.
But what was it that caused him to have that impact? Was he engaged you. Mm-hmm. He engaged you in conversation. and you felt that, that he was really interested in what
That's
you had
right.
to
He
say.
approached you even. He could be sitting on the sidewalk going down Broadway.
Absolutely.
It just looked like we need to go talk to that man.
Yeah.
It was welcoming,
Yeah.
very welcoming.
But the big thing is, I know we spend a lot of time, it seems, talking about the negatives of the city and what needs to be done and what we don't have and things like that. But by the same token, we have an awful lot here to be proud of, and it's not like we've got to go back to ground zero.
No.
And it's not to be critical of anything we have currently. It's taking what we've got and building on that.
That's right.
You take our education system here in town. I think we have something to be extremely proud of. We have a good foundational system for our kids, but then that's not enough. That's not enough.
It's never enough.
And that's the thing I want us to do, is to continue to challenge ourselves and never reach that plateau that we say, okay, we have arrived, we've got it done. Because, as soon as you do that, you begin to go backwards.
That's right.
Because there is no such thing as standing still or being static.
No.
You have to be constantly looking for those new opportunities. And like in our educational system, education goes beyond the bricks and mortar of school. And again, I certainly embrace the saying that it takes a village to raise a child.
We do.
Because, we look around, and at the education, if it ends at the time the student leaves the school in the afternoon, then we're in trouble. Because not every student leaving that school goes into a safe, caring environment.
That's right.
Or that has that parental support at home that can really encourage their learning and advance their growth and their well-being. And I am just always horrified when I hear the numbers of students that we lose to dropouts.
I know.
Yes. And why is it, what has happened that these students feel like that they cannot be a success, that they can't make it. And I know that, there is not a doubt in my mind, with the people we have in this city, with the resources, there's just so many different organizations that are involved in different ways with elements of education. There is not a doubt in my mind that if we can come together, sit down and develop a good, comprehensive plan for educating our children, we can make sure that no child falls through that safety net. And that's, to me, that's where it all begins.
It does.
Because the future of Sylacauga is out there in the form of these young people
That's
that are
right.
going to school.
The young people are our future.
Well, and then the other thing is, how do we attract young couples, people that have young children? How do we get them to come here? Or, if new couples just starting out, what are we going to do to make it attractive enough that they will want to stay here and raise their families and not move off to one of the, areas near the big cities and things like that. So that's a real challenge for us. And again, I just feel like that we have failed, as a community to provide those things. And we leave far too much for the children, the young adults, to entertain themselves. And not everybody has the means to get in a car
and drive
on Friday, on any time they want to, and go to Birmingham or Oxford or wherever, and go to a movie or go bowling or enjoy those type things. Some people just don't have that option to do that.
They have to entertain themselves.
And then you're left here, and and with such limited options on what they can do, the opportunities for the other element, the bad element, if you will, to enter into their life and affect their choices is there. And too often we will look at that and we'll say, well, they got in trouble, they're bad kids, or what did you expect, and things like that. So, but when we do that, we have failed and failed miserably.
That's right.
To
That's right.
to provide that support for them, because, like I say, it's just far too important for us to leave things to chance for these kids. It's just, again, it's appalling to me that we would accept that as a community, because, we have some fantastic people here.
We do.
And we've got some people
Resources.
that we have the resources. We have some extremely intelligent people here, and getting people together and where we set aside all of the titles and the different things like
lines.
that. And when we, get to the point where it does not matter who gets the credit for this, fantastic things will happen.
Yes.
And I think we can do that. I have no doubt in my mind that we can make that happen. But, to move a little further into this and kind of begin to talk about some of the things that I'd really like to see us do, and that I'm positive we can do. If we look at jobs, that's the cry from everywhere, is that we need more jobs, and we certainly do. We need good quality jobs.
Good quality jobs.
We have to be careful when we're out recruiting that we find a industry or a business that is compatible
That's right.
with
It
the
needs
city.
to fit.
Yeah, you've got to have a good fit for that, because you don't want to put yourself at risk,
Right.
and you don't want to have all of your eggs, so to speak, in one basket, where that if you have a downturn in the economy or in one sector
Like
of the
what would
economy.
happen with Avondale.
Well, like with the textile industry, if you have that and you go down in textiles, then if you've got everything connected to that, then you've put your city at risk, and you have your entire population out. But if you've got a very diverse base of industry and business, then you can weather these little economic
That's
hiccups
right.
and downturns. So we have to be careful how we do that. And a lot of times, people, and I think sometimes people don't really understand, the whole process of recruiting a business to get them in here. And it takes a tremendous amount of work.
You don't just jump on a plane.
No,
Go and bring them back.
you don't do that. And there have been times, and I know I spent some time with Mr. Pete Moore, talking about when they were able to bring
That's right,
Bluebell here.
Bluebell.
And he shared with me some of the very, very tense moments and the times of uncertainty of whether or not that was going to happen. And but then again, people like Mr. Moore that really and truly stepped up, and and he made a huge difference.
That's right. He didn't let it go.
That's right. And we have other people that will do that same thing. And our job is to be there to give support to
That's
these
right.
people. And then by doing that we can make some great things happen. But we talk about bringing jobs in and quality jobs. The workforce is evolving so fast with the new technologies
The
and all.
lifelong learning.
In times past, it required quite a few people to run just about any type business that you were going to run. But with the technology today, it's so much of it is automated. And it's done by robotics and things like that. So it just doesn't require the manpower that it did. But typically, those are higher skilled jobs. You no longer just need to be able to show up and be able to follow instructions that somebody gives you. The majority of the time now, a person entering the workforce has to go in and they have to make critical decisions. They have to do critical thinking, and they have to read and interpret, what the instructions are, because there's nobody there to tell them. And so we have to make sure that we have prepared the workforce, that if we go out and we're recruiting a company to come and they're needing a certain level of skill, that we have that skill. They don't, if we attract them and they're coming, that they don't have to import that skill. We have it, We have it locally. We have it available right here. And then we stand a much better chance of being able to get the person, if they secure that job, to actually live here.
That's right.
Because too often, what will happen, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, we do all the work, and when I say we, I'm talking collectively, do all of the work to recruit a business, and like I said, that's a huge undertaking. Secure that, get them here, and then they hire people that don't live here, because they either don't have the workforce available locally, or whatever reason there may be.
Or the quality of life.
Well, and that's a huge
choices.
thing, because especially
Especially if they have a family.
well, that, and a lot of the young professionals now, they want to be around other young professionals of other groups and things like this. So their social needs are such that they choose not to live here. And then when that happens, and they take that money back home to those communities,
That's right.
We've lost.
That's
Our
right.
merchants have lost.
Tax money goes with them.
Yeah, it does. And, you speaking of tax money, that just kind of is a segue into another topic that I have, is your revenue stream. We have to increase our revenue stream, because we cannot continue to operate at the current level we have, because our legacy cost, the cost of operating the city, will continue to increase. Well, for a certain period of time, you can just begin to cut appropriations to some other agencies to fund that, but those appropriations are not that much money, and it's not enough to sustain the operation of the city. So you have to look at, how are we going to do that? Well, a municipality, lives by taxes. So what you have to do is either look at increasing your tax rate, which is never a popular thing to do, and it's something that has to be really, really careful deliberations around, or you have to increase your sales so that you're generating more sales tax. And that's where we have got to try to work with the community and our merchants to get people to promote their products, to let our citizens, as well as people coming into our area, understand that they offer that product or that service.
That's
right here.
Buy local.
And get our people to begin to support the local merchants, spend their money here, and then our taxes will increase. Another thing, just a cold hard fact of life is, with the tough economic times that we've been experiencing, we have so many people that are having to depend on subsidized programs to get, to exist. And then a lot of times, those do not carry a sales tax to be generated. So, the product's being sold, but then it's not a tax
Not
being
a tax
generated.
on it. That's right.
And the same way with fuel tax. If we're buying our fuel locally, then there's a portion of that tax money that goes into our road fund.
That's right, into infrastructure.
Well, and that provides for where we can go out and repair the streets and do those type things that we need to do. But there again, if people are going outside the city to purchase that fuel, then they're not paying that tax here. And so what happens is the taxes support the repair and upkeep of somebody
Of
else's
that
roads.
community. That's
So
right.
that's it's such an intricate. Everything is linked together, but there's a way, there's things we can do to help that. And again, I think we have got to promote the city. We've got to promote it not only outside the city limits, but inside the city limits. And we have some great opportunities every day.
We do.
Because if you look at the ebb and flow of our workforce, we have about almost a wash of people leaving the city every day to go to work, as we do the people coming into the city to go to work. And now, of course, a lot of the people leaving the city are not going very far outside the city limits, to go to work. But still, they're exiting the city, and then the others are coming in. And, if we reach that point in time where we will begin to create those quality of life issues that we talked about and really begin to address those with the different retail options, dining options, recreation, entertainment, choices, then it will be easier for us to try to persuade the executives, if you will.
It would attract them. You wouldn't have to say a whole lot if you had it.
Well, I know from times past and things that we were required to do over the years in our career is years ago, a lot of companies required you to live
where you were. That's exactly right.
When that happened, you saw a huge amount of support from that business or industry in the community.
And then that business would insist that you were involved in the community.
Oh, absolutely.
There again, it all worked together.
And we've seen that work so many times. And, I've talked about continuously through the campaign, I talk about my passion, if you will, for planning and development.
Oh.
And the question is posed, or the statement is made quite often about the strategic plan that we have in the city. And as I discussed with Mayor Cleveland, just recently, that piece of work that they did, that he was the principal mover of that.
He was the driver.
That was a great piece of work, but that was never designed to be completed and put on a shelf. The design of it was such that you spelled out these things that you were going to do, and then all of your actions of the city government should have been checked against that.
That's right.
Saying, is this in keeping with our strategic plan? And then the other thing is, that plan was developed back in 1998, I believe. And so, we're looking back now and you're saying, wow,
times have changed.
Well,
Things have changed.
You have to update.
You have to update. That's right. The world has changed.
In the business world, we always tried to keep that 5, 10, 15, and 20-year plan out in front of us. And, each year we would update it because we just put a year behind us, and we would go to the end of that and begin to put that. And so that was extremely important for us, and it was a necessary step. But, back to, talking about the job creation, which is so important for us, Governor Bentley issued an executive order last year.
He did.
To begin to consolidate economic development, putting together a strategic plan for that. And he brought a lot of players together. And in fact, I think there were around 1,200 people that were involved in this. And it was through a lot of different mechanisms that they did all of this. And some very, very key people around the state that are professionals in development and what it takes to bring industry in and things like that. So these 1,200 people sat down and they developed a document. And Boyette was a company that was selected because they're development specialists. And they come in and kind of put the program together. And this is not something that was proprietary to me or anything like that. This is available for anybody that wants to go out and do research to find these things, which, I'm a huge fan of that.
Oh, yes.
And looking to see what's already there, because if it's there, you don't need to spend time trying to reinvent it.
Reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. And so but Lynn, you're looking inside that, and they came up with 3 economic drivers for that. The first one and the biggest one was advanced manufacturing. Inside the advanced manufacturing were 6 targeted sectors. And these are things like aerospace and defense. You had forest products. You had, healthcare is in there. Chemicals, automotive. But these were targeted industries that said, okay, let's go out and try to recruit in these areas. Then you come down to the next driver was technology. And that's something that, again, is extremely key, is to begin to try to go out and recruit research and development firms to come to your area. There again, they can be aligned with the 6 sectors we were just talking
Right.
about. And then, it goes right on down to other. And the other, comes down to what we've been talking about here, is creating that quality of life for the towns, making it attractive, making it a desirable place to live. So it was, to me, a very, very comprehensive plan. And there are some key people. We can take that and we can work with the people. And, over the years, we've been able to form relationships with a lot of those
Wonderful
people.
contacts, that's right.
And so we can work within that framework. And that's not to say that we're totally dependent on them to do it. Because, working with our local, Talladega County Economic Development Authority, and then we have to engage people like the Commercial Development Authority here, the Chamber of Commerce, get in and say, here are our expectations, here are our goals, here are our objectives, and here's how we're going to measure whether or not we've been successful. And then go after it. And I am, as you know, I'm a person that I believe in action plans, that if we decide we're going to do something somewhere visible, we've got it on the board, we've got it, who's responsible for it, when it's due.
That's right.
And then you have those progress reports, how close.
Accountability.
That's right. And holding people accountable. Because if you don't do that, then you've just wasted time. And I'm not about wasting time.
No. Mm-mm.
But like I say, we've got so many opportunities here in Sylacauga because it's a great town. There's some great people, and we have the foundation to build on. And
It's
like I
here.
said early on, we don't have to go back and start from scratch. We can begin to take each of these elements and say, how can we improve them? How can we make it better for the people living here? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
That's right.
Are the citizens
The
of
people.
our city, and we don't need to be, we don't need to be trying to do something for them that they don't want. We've got to engage them. We got to have them involved in the process.
That's right.
And then if we do that and we do it properly, then we've automatically got buy-in for it.
And that's another thing with you. You like to involve people from all aspects of the community in your opinions and in your, in your studies.
Well, and if you don't do that, then you don't have them.
That's right.
But you saying that about studies just reminded me, and I had a notebook I was going to bring, but it's case studies
Talking about
of
that
small
thick.
towns, and it's where we don't have to go back and reinvent that wheel. These are case studies of towns much like Sylacauga that have faced obstacles in the past, and it's how they did it. How did they turn it around? And we can continue to work with things like that, to work with our the relationships we've built, and we can go on and make this thing into a really fantastic place that people will be proud to say, I am from
I'm from
Sylacauga.
Sylacauga, that's right.
That's my home.
That's my
And that's
home.
what we want to do. And we're going to return that pride to this city. And we're going to do that by engaging all of the people in this community to make it happen. I appreciate your time, and I would really appreciate your vote on August 28th for mayor, and I promise you, I will do you a great job. When Avondale Mills closed in July 2006, there was a sense of shock in our city. People talked about how unprepared we were for such an event. We had no contingency plans in place to replace the lost jobs or incomes. Now, here we are 6 years later, and guess what? we still do not have a plan in place in case another catastrophic event comes our way. Vote Walter Jacobson for mayor on August 28th, and we will design and develop plans to address these type issues. Thank you.